In this chapter, you will continue to build your knowledge of descriptive statistics by learning about measures of central tendency. Remember that the general purpose of descriptive statistical methods is to organize and summarize a set of scores. The goal in measuring central tendency is to describe a distribution of scores by determining a single value that identifies the center of the distribution, or where most scores tend to cluster. Ideally, this central value will be the score that is the best representative value for all of the individuals in the distribution. We will be learning about three measures of central tendency: the mean, or arithmetic average, the median, and the mode. The figures on the slide are shown in figure 3.1 in your book, which is on page 61, and shows three different distributions. The appearance of these histograms demonstrate the difficulty of defining central tendency. In each case, the center of the distribution would be a different number. For each of the distributions, the range of score values ranges from 1 to 9. The first distribution is symmetrical, with the scores forming a distinct pile centered around x equals 5. For this type of distribution, it's easy to identify the center, and most people would agree that the value x equals 5 is an appropriate measure of central tendency. In the second distribution, problems begin to appear. Now the scores form a negatively skewed distribution, piling up at the high end of the scale around x equals 8, but tapering off to the left, all the way down to x equals 1. Where is the center in this case? Some people might select x equals 8 as the center because more individuals had this score than any other single value. However, x equals 8 is clearly not in the middle of the distribution. In fact, the majority of the scores, 10 out of 16, have values less than 8. So it seems reasonable that the center should be defined by a value that is less than 8, more appropriately, around 6 or 7. Now consider the third distribution, which is symmetrical but has two distinct piles of scores. Because the distribution is symmetrical with x equals 5 as the midpoint, you may choose x equals 5 as the center. However, no one chose or earned x equals 5, or even close, so this value is not particularly good as a representative score. On the other hand, because there are two separate piles of scores, with one group centered at x equals 2 and the other centered at x equals 8, this distribution has two centers, and one would correctly describe it as bimodal, with x equals 2 and x equals 8 being two representative measures of central tendency. The selection of the best measure of central tendency to tell the story about your distribution is influenced by not only the shape of the distribution, but also by other criteria that you will learn about in Chapter 3.